the very first verses of the Torah, the book of Genesis, we read that all human beings are created in God's image. When we read in those first verses of Genesis that human beings are created in God's image, that we note that it doesn't say just Jews, it doesn't say just the rich, and it makes a point of saying both men and women. If you not only pay lip service, but carry out in your actions and your deeds, if you try to build a country based on this idea that every human being is created on God's image, what we learn in the Midrash, that therefore when you harm a fellow human being, any human being, you are attacking God, similar to if you have the image of an earthly ruler and you take their pictures, their statues, their whatever, and you deface them, you break them, you're dissing, you're attacking that ruler. And in the same way, if you harm a human being, which is God's image in this world, you're attacking God. One of my role models in our role, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, used to say, as iconoclastic as Judaism is against images of God, we do believe there's an image of God in this world. It's the human being. And so if we take that seriously, if we apply that on an individual level and on a national level and a worldwide level, then that requires respecting human rights of every human being by virtue of the fact that they're a human being.
What is it you think prevents us? It's not a Jewish problem. It's not a Muslim problem or a Christian problem. It's a human problem. It prevents us from seeing people as icons of God, and so they get devalued and they're treated animal-like.
We human beings often tend to see ourselves as the pinnacle of creation. And if there is nothing above you, then why not rape the earth to get what you want? Why not harm, even kill other human beings to satisfy your personal, your national, your group needs or whatever? But that first verse of the Bible comes to say no. Human beings are incredibly important. Again, Heschel talks about how passionately God cares about human beings as opposed to some religious traditions in which God is very aloof and distant. But we are not the be-all and end-all of creation. And therefore, we have to remember that we are not free to do just whatever our passions and desires tell us to do. One of the functions of religion, at its best, is sometimes to say no, to provide limits and borders to what we do, to educate us of how we treat our human beings.
Yeah, I think not only do we think of ourselves as the pinnacle of creation, I think of myself as the pinnacle of creation, right. and then everybody else sort of fits underneath, and right. And religion's power is sort of unselfing. Use a psychobabble term, but it's to remind us we're not the creator, we're not omnipotent.
At its best, that's what it does. All too often, religion, rather than saying no to human beings, has encouraged us by saying, because we are the chosen people, we are this, we are that, we have some kind of superiority, we have some kind of greater amount of rights because we're particularly beloved, we're saved, we're chosen, we're this, we're that. We are the true curators, the true protectors, the true holders of the sacred truth. And so, all too often, religion has, rather than said no, it's given us permission to follow some of our worst desires. And that's why it's essential that we fight for the soul of our religious traditions as we see them, not denying the worth of human beings, not denying the worth of self, but putting everything in proper balance and perspective. One of the great challenges for me, for many people, is this idea of chosenness, which you certainly find in the Bible. All right, and if we're not just doing pick and choose Judaism, then we have to say yes. According to the Torah, God chooses the Jewish people. Some branches of Judaism, such as Reconstructionism, Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan, the founder, tried to do away with that whole concept. He just said it's not appropriate. Others have used that to justify Jewish feelings of superiority, of what have you. But the question I ask is, what are we chosen for? There's a wonderful midrash which also teaches us that all the different peoples of the world are chosen for something. The Greeks were supposed to bring philosophy to the world. The Romans were chosen to bring architecture to the world. The Jews were supposed to bring Torah to the world. All right? We were chosen for responsibility, not for privilege. Okay? And one can even ask, to what degree have we successfully fulfilled what we were chosen for, and to what degree have we not yet done that, or sufficiently done that? And so I think that's what's really key, is to the extent that we can talk in terms of chosen for responsibility, not because, and the Bible makes it very clear, I'm not choosing you because you're better than people, or stronger, or any of these things. I've chosen you for other reasons.